All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for clicking on the video. We have a viewer request video today. This is going out to DBN Polderman's 4120. This individual had asked in a comment, what controllers do you use for Mortal Kombat? And I thought, you know what, we play a lot of versions of Mortal Kombat on this channel, so you know what, let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit some of these controllers that we used for playing these games back in the day. So I got a bunch of them in front of me. I'm just going to quickly show them. It's just going to be a quick, fun little video. Once again, taking a trip down memory lane and looking at some of the controllers that we used for Mortal Kombat back in the day, and obviously still today if you are still playing. So, did you have a Super Nintendo? The Super Nintendo controller, this was one of my favorites. I thought it just felt good in your hands. I thought the button layout, so this one right here, I thought the button layout was great. It was very comfortable controller. Now I liked having the run button on the left side, the block button on the right, and you know, the way I would hold it, it worked perfectly. I always had the high punch, high kick buttons on top, and then the low punch and low kick buttons on the bottom there. And it just worked well. It was the system that I used most, so the Super Nintendo for the Mortal Kombat games, I got really accustomed to using this controller here. It's very solid. This controller has got to be, you know, 30 years old or whatever, and it still works. I've had no real issues with it. Something did break inside, which prevented the screw at the bottom from going in anymore. So it's got a little bit of cushion. The you know, the D-pad over the years kind of sticks now a little bit too, but you can take it apart, clean it up, and then like brand new. So the Super Nintendo version right there, obviously used for the Super Nintendo. Now, when playing on the Sega Genesis, obviously, we use the Sega Genesis controller. And these are what you used for the Sega CD also, and even the 32X. Now, you're all familiar with the 3-button Sega Genesis controller, right? Truth is for Mortal Kombat 1, this is still the controller I use. For some reason, my 6-button Sega Genesis controller doesn't work with Mortal Kombat 1, but it works for every other game. Now, the reason for that, here, I'm just going to put this one over here. The reason for that is I actually have a third-party Sega Genesis controller, 6-button controller, and it's fantastic. The layout's great. This is a Hyperkin Sega Genesis 6-button controller. It works for everything except for Mortal Kombat 1. It doesn't work for that. The thing about Mortal Kombat 1 on the Sega Genesis, though, was that the 3-button controller worked just fine. You know, there was you had to hold back and punch, like the A button for low punch or high punch. Can't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. A lot of people would say, you can't play the game without a 6-button controller, but you definitely can. For Mortal Kombat 2, though, however, it doesn't work. That's when things start getting a little more technical. I think MK1 was a little, you know, it was a little simpler than MK2 and 3. So the 3-button sufficed for that. But Sega Genesis controller, and again, you could use this for the Sega CD and the 32X, and this is a fantastic controller. So that was the Sega Genesis CD and 32X. Okay, how about this? So I have the 8-bit Do. This is a Bluetooth controller. And this one here is designed like the Super Nintendo controller. However, it has the analog sticks as well. I picked this up originally for my my RetroPie. I have one of those RetroPie emulators that I use. I haven't used it in a while, but it works well with that. I also use this for a little bit if you're familiar with Web Arcade on your iPhone. I did a video about that probably a year or so ago, and this is the controller that I used for it. It worked flawlessly, and it works flawlessly for it, and it's a very well put together controller. It's solid. I think it was about $70 or $80, but it's got R1 and R2 on top, as well as L1 and L2. So there's actually 4 buttons on top. And it gave me that feeling of the Super Nintendo. However, what I liked about this one was that I would put the run button here, and then the block in the front. So I would only use that for run and block. and I found it works really good. Now the analog buttons are pressure sensitive too. Like, this is just a solid controller. 8-bit DOE. This is the SN30 Pro controller. If you're into Bluetooth, this will work with your computer also. So you could even use it for Fightcade, and it's a very good controller. I highly recommend it if you are looking for a Bluetooth controller that you could play a Fightcade with, or you know, on your phone, wherever it's Bluetooth. It's fantastic. All right, then we got, you know what, let's get into my one of my favorite controllers right here. So the Sega Saturn, the 6-button Sega Saturn controller. This one I actually really like, and I don't know if it's just the controller that I have or what, but the D-pad is very, very sensitive, which is great. It's very responsive, and when playing Mortal Kombat with this controller, it's fantastic. You have the shoulder buttons, and then you have the 6-button layout, and I find that works great for Street Fighter in particular, but it also works great for the Mortal Kombat games. The Sega Saturn controller, it feels like it's probably the lightest out of any controller. So, in all honesty, like, the plastic's hard and everything, but it actually feels like a really cheap controller. However, it works very well. It's very effective, and the Sega Saturn controller it's one of my favorites. Absolutely one of my favorites. So we got another one here. This is the PlayStation 1. When the PlayStation 1 originally came out, there were no analog controls on it. So this was the base controller for the PlayStation 1. And this was fantastic. This reminded me of the Super Nintendo controller. The D-pad was good. Now the D-pad I found on this, though, because it almost looks like buttons, I found the D-pad wasn't as good as the Super Nintendo, even the Xbox controller, to be honest. But the button layout was great. The fact that it has, you know, R1 and R2, again, I would use, if it gave the option, I would use that as run and that as block, and I would just use my index finger for it instead of both. Again, button layout's great. The controller's solid. Like, this controller will last you forever. It'll never break. I mean, unless, you know, your pets get the cords or whatever and they chew on them. But this is what I use for the Mortal Kombat 3 and Trilogy, obviously, on PlayStation. Now, a fun little thing, and I don't know if any of you growing up had this, but a lot of the times you'd only have one controller. You'd have friends over, and you'd have to buy another controller, or they'd have to bring one over. And so a lot of the time growing up, I don't know if you got any of these as gifts or whatever, but we get these third-party generic controllers, which were never as good as the originals. And so you'd always give these shitty things to your friends to use, and you always had the advantage because of it. So this is the one that I have for the PlayStation 1. It's called the Dual Impact Gamepad Colors. It actually has modes on it. It's all just gimmicky because these controllers were pretty flimsy and pretty crappy, and they just didn't feel right. But this Dual Impact controller right here, it's not bad. It's not one of the better third party. The D-pad feels very cheap, but you know what? It worked, and that's all that mattered to me. As long as it worked and I could play against other people, then it was okay. So there's your generic PlayStation controller. PlayStation 3. So when Mortal Kombat came out on the PlayStation 3, the arcade collection, obviously we used the DualShock. I think this is a DualShock. Yeah, this is the DualShock 3 for the PlayStation 3. Very good controller. Once again, the D-pad though, when you would play, it would start to get stuck over time if you were sweating and it was getting hot and whatnot. I found the D-pad wasn't as responsive on this as it could have been. And yeah, I really like the design on this one too, the camouflage or whatever. I have a couple of the black controllers too. But the Sony PlayStation 3 controller, very good, very capable. The R2 and L2 buttons, though, however, were a little more pressure sensitive. So I found you had to push them down harder than the R1 buttons. And that was a bit of an issue when you would like try doing fatalities and such. But I mean, it wasn't a big deal. So there you have it, the PlayStation 3. That was for the Mortal Kombat arcade collection. Now, that being said, this bad boy right here This is my pride and joy. This is the Mortal Kombat arcade stick. This one was for the arcade collection as well. And I just bought this, I don't know, within the last year or two. And let me tell you, I wish that I got this way back when it first came out. It is very, very solid. The cool thing about this now too is that I use it on Fightcade. The hap sticks on it are very, very responsive. The buttons are very responsive. And thank goodness it works for your PC as well. So Fightcade, if you want to emulate the arcade experience, you know, on PC, this is the stick that you need to get that done. There's another arcade stick that was made for Mortal Kombat 9 when that one came out, and I personally haven't used it. It looks the exact same, but I've been told there's slight differences in that arcade stick, and I've been told this one's better. So I love this fight stick. Once again, I'll show it once more. I've showed it in videos. But the Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection Fight Stick. This came out for the Xbox 360 as well. And I see on the back here, limited edition Fight Stick. They only made 6,000 for the PS3. This is 3,141. So I'm right in the middle there of the sticks I bought. That being said, too, I used to use this. This was before I even had my my channel. So this is a Mayflash arcade fight stick. And my good buddy, he goes by, I think his name is Trail of Death on YouTube. He gave me this for my birthday years back because he knew I loved Mortal Kombat, and I was playing the arcade collection for years and years before this channel. And I was obsessed with it. I was always playing it. So he got this for my birthday. It's a very good fight stick. It's capable. It works with your Xbox, and it also works with other systems too, the PlayStation 3. I'm not sure if it works for the computer, but the thing is that I have the Mortal Kombat fight stick now, so I don't really use this one much. The controller's a little more flimsy. The buttons are very very kind of flimsy too. But you know what? I was using this for years, and it is a very, very capable fight stick. You could probably get it for 60 bucks now. But it is, once again, the Mayflash Arcade Fight Stick F300. And I'm sure there's tons of them out there, but this one's very good. To connect it up to like your Xbox and PlayStation 2, though, you had to hook it up to... there was something here, I believe, you had to hook it up to the actual controller, and then you had to hook it up to the system as well. It was kind of weird how they implemented the use of this, but... regardless, it served its purpose, and I was very happy with it for many years. So that's another one. If you're playing the Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection 2, the PlayStation 4 controller is also very capable. You can hook this up to your PlayStation 3 with a USB cable on the back. And some people preferred using this for the PlayStation 3 Mortal Kombat Arcade Collection. But the PlayStation 4 controller right here, very, very good, very, very capable. When I would play Mortal Kombat Gold on the, oh, you know what? I'm forgetting one controller too. Mortal Kombat Gold for the Dreamcast, I would use the Dreamcast controller, obviously. Now this one, I really like the D-pad on this. This controller itself was very cool. As you can see, you have these little memory cards that you would put in. I don't know if you remember them, but they were like little portable little gaming systems on their own too. I mean, you couldn't really do much on them, and the batteries did die over some time, but you could fit two of those in the back. And the cool thing about the Dreamcast was there'd be a little digital image on the front there while playing, and it would kind of react sometimes, like on Ready to Rumble and stuff. You'd see your boxer's face on there, kind of thing. Very innovative at the time. Sega Dreamcast, this controller right here. I just realized that I forgot to take the N64 controller out. But if you remember that one, I gotta find it. It is here somewhere. Oh no, it is back there, but it's in a box right now. The Nintendo Nintendo 64 controller. You know what? Give me a second. I am gonna get that. I'm gonna splice that into this video. All right, thank you for sticking around. We have the Nintendo 64 controller. Now this one, I don't know, some people love it, some people hate it. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's got the 6-button layout here on the right side, obviously, as you can see. But there was just something about it. It felt cheap. As far as I'm concerned, it felt pretty cheap. You'll notice it's a little thinner when you're holding it. But something about the D-pad and the buttons just felt cheap for some reason. Now, you did have these shoulder buttons as well, little analog stick in the middle there. And then it's also got a Z button on the back, or a Z button on the back. Very, very kind of innovative and cool. Like, it does look cool, and I understand, the reasoning for, the layout of this. You can put a rumble pack in the back, as well as a memory stick, or memory, whatever you want to call it. But the Nintendo 64, obviously I use this for Trilogy and MK4, and the other Nintendo game too that I have for the 64. But for fighters, in theory, I mean, like the buttons and everything, that's good. It's like the Sega Saturn controller, the 6-button Sega Genesis controller. But there's just something about it that didn't feel right to me, and because of that, I'm not a huge fan of this controller for the N64. But anyways, I had to show this one. And I got one more controller here that I'm going to show. Again, this is one that I use for emulation. So if I'm playing, perhaps like a Game Boy game or something emulated, I use this right here. It is basically, it's called the Buffalo Classic USB gamepad. I think it cost me $10, to be honest. It was for the computer. But as you can see, it's pretty much a direct Super Nintendo controller knockoff. And the quality is pretty much the same also. So L and R, on top, the 4 buttons. It actually works just as good as the Nintendo 60, not the Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo controller. And I do like it. I'll use it every once in a while. And if I go and I play some of the like retro games, if I just feel like playing it on my TV through emulation instead of actual hardware, then I'll break this out and I'll use that. So, anyways, there you have it. There's a plethora of controllers. I probably missed a couple, but that kind of covers the majority of the controllers that I use for playing Mortal Kombat in particular, but a lot of other games. So if you had any of these, you were lucky, you were fortunate. There is one more here, sorry. For Fightcade, if I'm not using the fight stick, I will use my Xbox Series S controller. This controller is beautiful. This is my favorite actual controller. This is the Series, like I said, Series S controller. I have another one of them. But when the Xbox One came out, this was definitely my favorite design. I don't care that it takes batteries. The batteries last quite a while. It's great for other fighters. It's great for, Call of Duty and stuff too, which I used to play a lot of. Not so much anymore after, starting this channel out. But the Xbox One controller is fantastic. So, all right, if you stuck around and watched the video, I do appreciate it. It was a little trip down memory lane for controllers. I hope it brought back some good memories if, you don't have these systems. And, if you're looking to get into it again, then do it. I highly recommend, reliving your youth and your teenage years, because, it was a great time in life. So thank you once again to DBN Polderman's 4120 for the request. I do appreciate it. To everyone who's watching, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be back with another video very soon. Take care, ladies and gentlemen.